Okay, hey guys, welcome back to yet another Malaysian Motoring video. Now today is something a little bit different. We've never actually done this before, but we are here in the Mazda showroom in Glenmarie to take a look at the new Mazda CX-30. Now this is a brand new model and it's only just arrived here in the showroom. It hasn't actually been officially launched yet, but this car has somehow made its appearance here. There's also a test drive unit. In fact, if we just swing around, if we swing around there, you can actually see there's a test drive unit with trade plates on, which means that these cars are not yet registered, they're not yet ready to be registered, but with trade plates they can go out for the time being. And I guess we're still waiting, or BERMAZ is still waiting for approval from JPJ and the relevant authorities in order for these cars to be type approved and ready for registration. But in the meantime, since we can't do that, since we can't go out for a test drive, since we're not buying the cars, we can at least take a look around these cars and see what's what. So come on, let's go take a look. Okay, so let's just take a quick look around the car. So visually, here you can see that there are some unique touches compared to the CX-3, which is actually in the same sort of segment space, but the face is slightly different. As you can see, it's slightly more aggressive. You have a much wider grille. You also have a sensor in front here, a radar sensor, clearly indicating that this car will come with some adaptive safety features, or rather advanced safety features for this. You also have the black pin grille. This is for the premium model. This is the most expensive petrol model that you can buy, with the 2-litre Skyactiv-G engine and front-wheel drive. But as you can see, the lights have been given a slight refresh where they are still slimline, but they're a little bit more inset. So if I can get my cameraman to swing around, you should be able to see that the front end, just how inset these headlights are and how much bigger this chrome strip is sort of integrated there. Now, while we're on the side, this is when, okay, I'll pan this way. So this is where you can see that there are some big differences compared to the CX-3 down the side, which is where you see these huge amounts of black body cladding. I haven't seen body cladding like this since like the Prodoa Kembara, if I'm honest, but it's a bit Marmite. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That's about as much as I can say. But on this premium model, you can see that even on the premium model, it's still unpainted. It's still meant to give it this crossover-y look, which is very vogue now. But as I said, this is the premium model. Now again, if I can get my cameraman to pan over there to the test drive car outside, that is what appears to be the standard model, which is why it's got the slightly smaller wheels and so on. And now we're going to pan back to the premium. There we go. So again, the premium model gets these 19-inch alloy, where the hell is it? No, sorry, 18-inch dark silver alloy wheels. Very pretty looking thing. This is, of course, the Soul Red Mica, or is it Soul Red Pearl? I can't remember exactly what the color code is, but of course it looks very good. And because this is a new generation Mazda, you can see down the side, the design doesn't feature a lot of very hard lines. It's all very soft, gentle sweeps and flowing lines, because Mazda now wants their cars to appear more flowing, where it allows colors like this to really bring out the shape and the athleticism of the car. It's no longer being as obvious as it used to be. Now, if we swing around the back, again, you can see that the latest generation of Mazda's design is very visible here. You still have the slimline headlights, tail lights, very similar to what you'd see on the Mazda 3, which is over there. But you have this black piece on the top, again, to accentuate the sort of 3D effect of these lights. And again, the black body cladding that we showed you down the side comes all the way around the back, and it is very prominent. This actually takes up the entire bumper area. There is no part of the rear bumper that is unpainted. It is very obvious, and again, it's kind of Marmite. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't. But for this premium model, you get a couple of exhaust exits in the back with chrome finishes, and I have to say it does look good. Now, I want to talk to you about the boot before we go into the interior, but unfortunately the battery on this car, because it has been fettered with by several motoring journalists before us, the battery is now dead. So we have to go over there to the grey car. Okay, so now on the grey car, let's take a look at boot space. Now, because this car is broadly based on the CX-3, it does mean that there isn't a dramatic amount of boot space increase in here as opposed to the hatchback. But At the very least, it's a very usable space. The rear seats are 60/40 folding, which means that if you need more space, you can just fold the seats down. That's not a problem. And Mazda has very kindly thrown in these rubber mats, which is nice, I guess. Underneath, however, you do get a spare tire, which means that if something were to happen to you, as it happened to me in an E-Class recently, you don't have to be stuck beside the road. You can just swap the tire and off you go. And you're not stuck waiting for cycle and carriage to come and tow you away. Anyway, let's go take a look at the inside, where we'll have to actually take a look a little bit at this and a little bit in that one. I'll explain to you in a second. Alright, now looking at the interior of the CX-30, and let me just close that. My word, this car looks nice. For starters, all the materials in here just look really good. Even the front of the dash is a soft touch leatherette type affair. In fact, I'm not sure if you can see this. Let me try and get a light. Yeah, that hasn't helped. But the materials on the top of the dashboard as well as onto the door cards, these are stitched leather, by the way. It's a sort of brown kind of color, whereas the seats themselves are black. The interior upholstery in this car is black, but up here it's brown and down here it's brown and it's stitched, and it's interesting to have different colorways in this interior. Now, because the CX-30 is based on the new Mazda 3, it means that it has a new platform as well as a new infotainment system. So as a result, you have your big MZD Connect controller here, as well as your little sound knob, volume, whatever, as well as your electronic parking brake and auto hold function displayed on a screen that's over here. Unfortunately, we can't really turn this on right now because the car is, well, dead. However, it is worth noting that in the premium model, this particular grey car is actually the 1.8 litre turbo diesel, which sits at the top of the range at 174,000 ringgit-ish. This particular car, as well as the premium petrol, the red one over there, comes with a sunroof, which, unfortunately, the sunshade is manual, but the sunroof itself is electric, but also dead. Whatever. I'm just gonna gloss over that very quickly. Now, another thing that I want to point out is the placement of the air vents in this car. I know it's really small and macro, but I want to bring it up. Now, the driver has two air vents that sit behind the steering wheel. They're pointed directly at the driver, which means that if you were to drive with your hands at 10 and 2, they are going to freeze. But the air conditioning vents for the passenger are actually hidden sort of underneath the dashboard, sort of here, which, I mean, you'll have to angle them upwards in order to actually get it to your face, but I like the fact that it's down here because it kind of reduces the visual clutter sort of in the driver's eye line, which is nice. Also, another thing to note is you do have a sunglasses holder up here, which is nice, and you have a frameless rear view mirror, which I always like. In any case, let's go move to the back. Now, in the back of the CX-30, again, it is revealed this car's origins, or rather it's the fact that it's based on the Mazda 3 hatchback. So you still get the same sort of wide driver's seat where, you know, you are going to struggle a bit if you're kind of small, like a child, to try and see around this. But it's not bad. Legroom is okay, actually. This seat is set up for my video assistant's driving position, and he's 5'10", I think, 11-ish, something. He's shaking his head. Anyway, 5'10-ish, 5'11-ish, and despite that, I still have a decent amount of legroom back here, but headroom is a little bit tight even for me, simply because the roofline of this car is kind of sloping, but it does look good. And for the most part, if you're putting children back here, which you can because you have ISOFIX mounts down there with ISOFIX mounts that come off, that's not fun. But since there are ISOFIX mounts back here, you can put children back here and they should be fine. They won't be too happy about the fact that the sills are very high because that may promote car sickness, especially on long journeys. But if you have adults back here, visibility is just about okay, and you have an armrest with a couple of cup holders, and you have a couple of air vents as well, so you can be quite comfortable back here. And just like I mentioned in the boot, this entire car is covered in Mazda rubber ringy carpetingy thingy, which is nice because most people who buy these cars will end up putting them in anyway, so it's nice that BERMAZ has put them in there already. Let's go back outside because it's quite dark in here and I don't know if you can see me, but let's go back outside and talk about prices. So now let's talk about something a little bit more important, and that is pricing. Now, the Mazda CX-30 will be available in Malaysia in 3 guises. Those being, I have a piece of paper here, very official. That is the 2.0G, the 2.0G High, which is that one, as well as the 1.8 Diesel High, which is that one. None of these cars are actually high, it's just a trim level. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, so the 2-litre standard model will go for 143,119 ringgit and 20 cents. So that will be the basic or most basic model that you can get available. That was basically the test drive unit that we saw outside. The 2.0G High, which is this one, will go for 164,119 ringgit and 20 cents, whereas the Diesel High will go for 173,027 ringgit and 70 cents. Now these are the private prices for these cars for private buyers, obviously not for commercial buyers, but in any case it's very clear that these cars will be priced significantly higher than the Mazda CX-30, which is broadly about the same size, maybe about slightly smaller than it, and it is actually within spitting distance of the Mazda CX-5, which is technically one segment larger. Now, speaking to staff here, sales advisors, as well as Mazda management, they've all said the same thing, and that is Mazda is an aspiring premium brand, and therefore it should price itself in that category. And I guess the prices for these cars, although on the high side, are reflective of Mazda's aspirations for the future. And what that also means is that any models that come after this might be significantly more expensive, as we saw which is what happened with the Mazda 3. In any case, we'll see what happens next. These cars are expected to launch early next month. That means early January, and so we'll be back with more updates when the car actually launches. Thank you so much for watching. This has been a Malaysian Motoring video. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thumbs up, and bell, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and whatever. I will see you next year. Ciao!